That's right.
Nailed it.
Okay.
We're getting the drinking out of the way.
Huh? I think we're
Are we
good.
getting the drinking out of the way?
Um, it's funny because I never drink. Like I have my tea, and then after I finish my tea, I don't drink any water throughout the day. I'm like so dehydrated. But now that I'm doing these, I'm like chugging water because I'm talking so much. Michael's like, "Did you drink a whole glass of water?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
Like, this is a big deal.
This is like my self-care. This is how I'm staying hydrated here. Um, so yes, getting the drinking out of the way.
I'm always like, well, coffee has water in it, right?
Exactly. It can't be that dehydrating.
Man, it's just like, it just tastes good. And like, not that water isn't refreshing at times, but like coffee just feeds my soul more than anything.
Yeah, I
I'm
hear
not
it.
doing it for the hydration.
I hear it. I'm right there with you. Um,
Oh,
and I think we should be good by now. We're recording. So hopefully this is okay to jump in and start and say hello to everyone who's watching. Welcome back to, I think this is week 14. I think week 14.
you're getting up there, yeah.
I think 13 sounds familiar. So I think it's week 14 of the Self Care Collaborative. It is a cold, snowy day here. Do you have a lot of snow by you, Megan?
We do. It is currently flurrying. Um, and the thing with these small snows is they just like last. Like the big fluffy ones never do, but these small snows. So right now we probably have 3, 4 inches
Okay.
or so, but it's so pretty outside because it's just like all the trees have snow on them. And it's just like everything's white and like the
Mm-hmm.
path hasn't been walked on yet. And it's just like it's so pretty. Like little Christmas card outside. My husband is actually really happy that we haven't taken down our Christmas tree. Yes, that's how it looks here. But we haven't taken down our Christmas tree, mainly because I don't want to do it by myself, and he works all during the week. And then on weekends, we're both like, yeah. So it's like tree's still up, and he's like, well, I'm glad I got to see it with snow.
That's really funny. I still have most of my Christmas decorations. You can see I have my little nutcracker there. Most of our apartment is still decorated. We took down our tree last week, maybe, because it was a lot. It was like a real tree. And I was like, okay, this is very dead. This is going to start a fire. But I was like, do we have to take down the rest of our stuff? It doesn't really feel like we need to. And Michael was like, nah, I don't care. Do whatever you want. So I was like, okay. So now yesterday I was playing Christmas music and like watching people's vlogmases. I was like, oh, it feels like December.
Honestly, it takes so long to get through Vlogmas. I was only able to keep up with like 2 other people. And then when I would be caught up with them, I try to like binge 3
Uh-huh.
or 4 episodes of somebody else at a time. But it's so hard, especially if you have like several favorites
Yep.
that you continually follow.
Yep.
But this is the first year that I made it all 25 days. I think I've kind of kaputzed after my birthday, which is the 17th, almost every single year. There's like maybe 1 or 2 videos past that date, and I'm like, I'm just done. But I was so proud of myself this year because I actually completed the whole thing. And it was just like, that was a big deal for me.
It makes sense because that's like the point where you're like, okay, I'm getting real tired. That final week is definitely a push through, but this is a perfect time. I'm telling people, I don't know, maybe it's part of my self care to go back and watch those videos and pretend it was December again. So definitely.
There, yeah, there are several that I'm like, oh, I didn't get to finish that. Like I didn't get to watch any of Stranded's, and I normally would have, but I just got caught up in like other people, and I was like, I'll get to it, and then I didn't. So I'm like thinking now, yes, now I will go back and have a rewatch,
Yeah.
especially with all the snow.
You have to. And while we're talking about snow and taking care of ourselves and watching Vlogmas, let's jump into it, right? It's week 14 of Self-Care Collaborative. So if this is the first time you're popping in, welcome. Definitely check out my YouTube channel. There are the other 13 videos. 13? All the other videos are there in my YouTube to be watched and binged if you're all caught up on Vlogmas. And if you've already seen them, thank you for coming back and checking us out this week. I'm here with an amazing maker this week. I'm super, super excited about this one. We've already chatted a little bit. And it's funny, Meg, because I feel like I know you from watching your podcast, but like, I don't really, but I have a sense of what this conversation might touch on, and I'm really excited for folks. I think it's going to be a good one. But go ahead, introduce yourself for the folks who maybe don't know you or haven't already found you or your yarn or your designs or your podcast or any of your things at this point, which seems crazy, but possible.
Oh, thank you. So, my name is Meghan Ragan, and I am the dyer and internet personality behind Bad Wolf Girl Studios, Bad Wolf Girl Yarn, and Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits podcast. I have my Instagram, which I'm sure we can link down below or something, of Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. And that one recently hit 10K, which was a massive deal to me because now it means I can put links into my stories. It's the stupidest little thing, and I'm like, swipe up. And my husband's like, why didn't you have this before? And I'm like, you're just not allowed. And he's like, that doesn't seem fair. And I'm like, well, no, but it takes a lot to get here. And I'm very excited. So I've been like adding little links in, like, oh, I can do this now. So cool. But yeah, so I I dye yarn from my home with my coworkers, currently sleeping on the job. And I've been writing patterns now for about 4 years. No, can't be 4. 3 years. I'll say 3 years because it's 2021, and I think I started about 2018 or so with the first hats, which was reindeer games, and the pumpkin hat, which were my first pattern pieces. It just feels so long ago now. I'm like, wow. It's just, of course, this year felt like an age, but that feels like an age ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been kind of dyeing and designing, and I was teaching for a while. I was a part-time art teacher for grade school kids, which was super fun. Really loved that job. And now I'm just kind of, I'm full-time at home dyeing. I mean, I'm here all the time. So I guess we'll call it full-time, but I will also be a full-time student starting this week and next, which is huge. I don't know if you can hear my text message going off. Okay. So that's huge. And I'm really excited. I'm going to the Academy of the Arts University. It's in San Francisco, but I'll be doing everything from home. I'm doing a master's of fine art in animation and visual effects, and I'm terrified and so excited at the same time.
About right. And it's so exciting. I mean, I come from like a super artsy family. My sister went to school for art, and obviously trying to run my business and my Instagram, I'm always like getting into a little bit of like graphic design. I'm like, so help me with this or help me with that. And sometimes I'll be like, can we like make this animation? She's like, you need a degree for that. Like, stop thinking that's like a thing you can just Google and do. And I'm like, okay. So
Right,
I'm super excited for you because that's a big thing.
Gypsy, please. I don't know what she's got. She hears something. Oh my word. Could you pick any other time? Shush.
She wants about her journey too. She's like, the people need to know who I am.
So rude. So rude, Gyps.
Never. Animals can never be rude on this channel. That's my They can do pretty much anything, and it's cool.
I wonder how many other dogs she just set off as people are watching this.
That's always the best. It's like, no, it's just the video, Rocco. It's okay.
Yeah, I want to have people basically video us videoing and be like, and there's my dog going off.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
I will look forward to that, people.
You know, right? Yes, please let us know. Tag us in the videos. So tell us a little bit. I mean, you're starting to touch on it now, your journey. I know you talked about it on Christy Glass's video, which was so cool. But tell
That
us
was insane.
maybe the cliff notes for folks who don't know about your fiber journey, how you got into this world of fiber adventures.
Okay, so I started to knit after my grandfather passed away in 2011. I just needed something to do. Like sitting was no longer an option. And yeah, there you go. I had a low power mode. Sitting was no longer an option. I needed like something to truly get my mind off of things. And my grandmother on my dad's side, my nana, was a knitter and crocheter. And so I had like kind of seen her doing things growing up, but I didn't learn from her. I learned from YouTube. Learned from y'all. YouTube taught me how to knit at the end of my college career. And from there, it was, terrible socks, really wonky hats, super thick acrylic sweaters that no one could wear, really ugly gifts for at least 2 years, some solid scarves. I mean, but I didn't know what a shawl was yet. I really wish I had learned what that was, because that would have been nice to have, but a lot of scarves, just really, really weird things. So I went ahead and just kept working through. As you do, you get a little bit better with each one. And I knew I wanted to knit sweaters and things, but I just wasn't getting, I was getting better, but it still wasn't to what I am now. It took me what I felt like was a long learning curve compared to what I've kind of upped it to. So this first couple of years, just working through, I'm teaching at the same time, so not as much time to work on it either, I suppose. And then I got engaged in 2015. My fiance moved down to Maryland because that's where he got a job. So we were doing a long distance engagement for a year. And he would drive back and forth from Maryland to Philly to see me and do wedding stuff. So that was a little bit insane. So more knitting time, I'll say. More knitting time because he wasn't around as much. And then I quit my job. I moved down here, and then I got a new job. So I was moving, and I was getting married, and I had a new job on the horizon. And I decided at that time that it was a good idea to start a yarn business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I didn't have enough on my plate at the time. Or like, I should probably go up to the old me and just smack myself up the back of the head. Like, what were you thinking? In a one bedroom apartment. Like, let's dye some yarn. What? No room, like no space, no nothing. In a rented apartment. Like, oh my word. I was like drying skeins on the porch. There's just nothing. So the Bad Wolf Girl Studio was born in November of that year, 2016, to get married. And I guess it was because I was moving and I was leaving all of my friends up there. So I started the podcast at the same time because I was looking for connection. I'm a social butterfly, and I don't do well in isolation. So you can imagine how the pandemic's been doing for me. So like having the podcast that started, and then the business started. So I was part-time art and part-time dyeing for at least the next 2 years.
Mhm.
Um, After that, we moved from a little bit to a bigger apartment. Shop got a little bit bigger as well, which was nice. That was a loft apartment. If people remember those podcasts, I miss that loft and I talk about it often because I had a whole floor to myself and it was amazing. Um, and at that point, I came up with the sea glass pattern, and
Mhm.
we got Gypsy. That was right after my MS diagnosis. So that was like another heavy piece of information. Get a dog, learn how to do brioche. Like events in my life, like things go south and then I just learn a new skill.
Mhm.
So for like as far as like we're talking self-care, like I am absolutely almost 1 for 1 with like traumatic event, new thing. Leave friends and family, start business.
Mhm.
So it's just like I can very clearly see how I operate, and how this like entire crafting community has been, a balm on
Mhm.
things that are either stressful or tough or just sad.
Mhm.
So all of those things as they layer up. But yeah, so like I just started dyeing yarn in my kitchen in that little apartment, and I'm still here in my kitchen in my house, but I do have a bit more room to uh, spread out, so to
Mhm.
speak, and all the designing pretty much takes place here. I've got the computer and all the setups, and usually I'm like over a calculator because I can't math in my head.
So, it's funny too, Meg, hearing you go through that because I'm like laughing because as an outsider, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a terrible time to like start a business, start a podcast, right? And then I'm like laughing because I'm like, wow, that sounds so similar to my own experience. And like, oh yeah, like when I was moving across the country from Texas to Pennsylvania, and I was like, I really want to start dyeing yarn. I should wait 2 months until I move and then buy all the things I need. And then I was like, no, I'll just do it now and then move all my stuff. So like I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that's like. And I hear as you're talking, like how interwoven your self-care journey is with your like fiber journey and your life journey. And what I'm kind of curious, like, is that something intentional that you think?
I
Yeah.
Not that things weren't like stressful in high school or college, but I was an art major for pretty much both of those. So I had a lot of homework, projects, late studio hours. I did ceramics. You can
Mhm.
almost see if I tilt a little bit up here. You can see a teapot and a sculpture. It's white back here. This guy over here. So I've got some of my projects from my ceramics years, even up here now. And
Cool.
um, like that was the self-care. It was spending time with friends and doing the late studio hours and hanging out and having pizza and drinking too much coffee and
Yeah.
having dance parties in like the painting studio. And that was probably how I handled stress and sad at that point. Um, but leaving college, and I can't tell you how many people say this, it's so hard to meet someone. It's so hard to have a connection with people after college because you had a group, you had classes, you had a reason to be somewhere, and people that you had to be around. And for better or worse, you either got along or you didn't. And you definitely had more dating opportunities because people were generally around.
Mhm.
So after college, I'm single, and I didn't have a proper teaching job yet, so I didn't really have a structure. I was working. I was a cake decorator at Giant, for 2 years. And the
Wow.
second year I met my now husband. And he was like, "What are you doing? You have a full teaching degree." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but I just like, needed a break." He's like, "Go finish the paperwork." And I was like, "Okay." And within like 4 months, I had a job. Like he's been like the best kick in the pants of like, just go get it, go, go, go. I don't want to hear your excuses. You got this. So like, yeah, just out the door. He's like, "Get out of Giant. Come on, Meg. You can do this. Like, don't be scared. Let's go." It's just,
Hmm. So funny. I didn't know that. I didn't know that how you guys had met, or like,
yeah,
you know, I guess since the podcast, y'all have been together. So I like just didn't know too much about your life before that.
yeah,
Funny and interesting to hear that even though it wasn't knitting, it sounds like the art and the creating served a similar sort of purpose. Like, yes, you were creating and expressing, but also it was a sense of community. Like, that sounds really prominent in what you're saying. It wasn't just making the art, but it was the classes and being in the studio together and having that sense of community. And it sounds like after school, you're right, you lose that. That's like really,
yeah,
you know, you have adult friends, like you're not hanging out late at night in the same building together, like because you have to be there. And so it's
yeah,
a different sort of dynamic. And it sounds like then knitting has sort of taken a similar role in your now life during a pandemic when we can't see anyone or do anything, but like virtually,
yeah.
it's been a bit of that giving yourself a space to like create and express, but also a sense of community.
Yes. And I think like that's mainly what I crave is like is the connections, the community, even like when I would go to the gym. I like doing group classes. Like some people just go in and run on a treadmill and be like happy as a clam. That's my hubs. He'll just get on, headphones in, happy. Like he'll just alone with his own thoughts. And I'm like, "Oh, don't leave me in there." Like I'm like, I will get up early as anything for a spin class so that I can be in the blaring music with a bunch of other people with someone screaming at me. That's fine. I would rather be there. Or like we did CrossFit for a while, which was really fun. And like that's another community experience where like everybody's doing the same thing, but you're kind of like encouraging each other. And I was part of Lucille Roberts' gym for a while, and that was an all women's gym. And so you just like have a lot of like community experience. And so like, working out at home in the pandemic, I'm like, I miss people. I miss people. I'm like, this is like this one, she's been a good coworker, but don't try to do yoga with her. She's just like up and under. I'm sure anyone who has a dog and tries to work out absolutely knows what I'm talking about. If you get anywhere near tying your shoe, they're like up and under and through the legs, and then they roll over and they're like, "Aren't I cute?" I'm like, "Well, how am I supposed to do anything now? You're adorable."
Yeah, laying on your lap, rolled over on your legs, and I'm like, Excuse me, I was using those." I'm really curious too, though. I mean, we're talking about like the working out and the physical piece right now, but it sounds like community is just and connection is really important to you and taking care of yourself and nourishing yourself. And so it makes me wonder what self-care has looked like for you over the past 10 months, 11 months, however many months of this pandemic life.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a lot quieter, a lot
Mm.
quieter. I have but one local friend who is also quarantining at home. So during the earlier stages, she'd come over and we just like, we'd like hang out kind of either end of my kitchen or like either end of the couches, knowing that she was being careful and I was being careful. kind of like gave us a nice little safety bubble that we were almost quarantined together. But as things have gotten worse, so kind of like, well, I guess like November or so, it's been like Zoom chats and we just like get on and do like this, which even this um, has been good for me. Like
Mm.
the Zoom chats, even though you're not with the person. My friend from high school and now college has been trying to make a point of like calling in every week, like touch base, talk for an hour. One time it was like 4 hours, but we just a lot of reminiscing that day. You're like, you remember when we did this thing? We were stupid. We did this thing. A lot of that. But just having her like check in and talk and spend time and see how she's doing, see how I'm doing. Like these calls have been really like all you can do, but they've been absolutely necessary. I notice on weeks when I feel more down, that a call from her
Mm.
can really like just change my mood, like shift everything. So I just notice on like weeks when she's having a rough time or like she doesn't get to call, I'm like, I have to do something else. Like I have to go bug someone to talk to me because like I need something. Like I need something from them. And like my wonderful hubs, I mean, we hang out at night, but like he works all day. So like bugging him isn't always an option, though I do a lot. I'm always like, do you need a cup of tea or something? Like, just talk to me for 5 minutes. It's been a lot in a while. He's like, can you give me like, trying to do his work? And I'm just like, can you just talk to me? Just talk to the dog all the time. She's just full of all of my secrets and conversation, everything. Right, Chippy?
Funny. It sounds so like you've recognized like the importance that even though Zoom maybe isn't like a replacement for being physically with someone, that it gives you enough of that social connection. And it sounds like you've you've come to really realize how much of an impact that can have because you notice when you don't have it. And has it sounds, I imagine, from some of the similarities I have that it's made me be a lot more intentional with my time or like making points to like reach out to friends or people that I maybe would not have done in the same way because I would just see them in person like now and then.
Yeah.
Um, how has it been? Was that like a natural or like easy adjustment for you, or is that something that you had?
Uh I want to say it probably developed.
Mm.
Um, I was not doing Zoom calls much. I was going to a knit night maybe every other week before the pandemic, which I would drive like 45 minutes for because it was down by my older neighborhood where our apartment was. So I was doing kind of a hike, but it was worth it for like I'd spend like 4 hours there. So like the time was okay. Like it wasn't like I was gonna spend 20 minutes and then have to go back. So I'd know I would show up at 6 and I wouldn't leave until 9. So it was a nice chunk of time to spend with them. But of course that with the pandemic got suspended. I know they've been doing some Zoom things too, which is good. But like I was getting my daily dose of people.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, just like without that knit night, I started kind of looking for it in other places. And I think I got accepted to school in October. And once again, it was kind of my husband being like I think you can do this. I think you could use this. I think that this would be good for you. And I like you do have a passion for art and for drawing and creating, I think that you could make a career in here, and like very genuinely being like you need more. I can see it. You need more than wandering the house all day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And of course, Heels In took at least 6 months of not coercing, but like bringing it up and then dropping it, and bringing it up and then dropping it. But in the end, it was like, oh, yeah, it was like October when I had finally written my first essay in 10 years to get into this school. I was like, I hate writing. uh, I haven't had to do a paper in ages and ages, and so like that was like, oh, do I really want to do this? But getting in and being like, okay, like new lease, something new adventure. So like the shop currently is being pulled back, so I've just been doing like specialty colors, 1 or 2 bases. I know exactly what I'm going to do. It's a mystery to everyone else. I show them the photo. If you like the photo, if you like these colors, those are the colors I'm going to use. So I try to be like transparent in that sense. But I just like, with school coming up, I started to feel this overwhelm again, which the last time I felt quite like this was moving, leaving friends and family, getting married, and starting a new job. In which case I started Bad Wolf Girl Studios. So now I'm kind of leaning into the design aspect, because it's passive income in the sense that I do a lot of work up front. I spend weeks and months knitting the patterns and getting them tested and paying the tech editor who I use. Luke is fantastic, Wool Enthusiast. He's really great. If you're looking for one, go check him out. But like paying the tech editor and getting all of that done so that I can sit and do my homework. Mm-hmm. And that can just be there to kind of, pay for school supplies and groceries and Gypsy's medicine and like whatever, like little things, like it'll cover this little thing here, that there. And like people look at a pattern and they're like, oh, like it cost X, and I always want them to feel like they got their money's worth. But they should know just how much of your soul they're buying. Because you've done a lot to put this forward, and like your ego, your feelings, your heart is in it. So like if something's wrong, like that hurts you. You're like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Like, which is why testers are so great to catch like the silly and stupid mistakes that you just don't catch. Like, like I've read this 50 times and the word "the" is misspelled, and my brain has corrected it every time because I've read it so many times. So you need someone else to be like, that's not divisible by 4. That's correct. It's not, is it? But in your head, you're just going along and you're just steam training on. So like, I'm hoping with school, that'll be another sense of community, classes, feedback, interaction, and a creative outlet at the same time. Because I love drawing, like creating, and like I've been doing the coloring pages recently. I upload free pages on my blog. And that's badwolfgirlstudios.weebly.com. And it's just like you can just get coloring pages from me with all of the designs of the sweaters, which I just thought was fun because I could just picture kids using them, and that made me happy because grade school art teacher, like I used to draw pages for them often to to like get them moving, get them going. I just enjoyed it. I want to make sure, I think it's charging. The battery's doing weird things.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm trying. There you go. If it just cuts out, that's where I went.
Okay. So like you've done a lot of shifting and flexing in terms of like, I know this is what I need to take care of myself. And the world kind of got flipped on its head. So it's not available to me in that way anymore. So let me like flex and pull back on some things, add other things, and see if I can still get some of those things that help keep me going. Even though I hear you saying like, I wasn't like, I needed a push in the butt to apply. Like, I can't imagine
Yeah.
applying to school after so many years. Like, I went straight from undergrad to master's straight to my doctorate. And if I had taken a gap, like, I don't
10
know.
years.
Yeah,
I've
I don't
taken a
know.
10-year break and I didn't really mean to. But yeah, like 10 years. And you know, it was harder going back because I wasn't in the Gypsy gift. Come on, bring it over. Thank you. She found one of my cups. Good girl, Jeps. Thank you. Good girl. Good girl.
Are we done playing? Is that it?
Well, this cup's kind of dead now. I don't know where she got it, but it's got like teeth marks and punctures all up in it. So, I mean, it's her cup now, I guess. But yeah, like just taking a really long break. My teacher at the time was like, no, like get a job, get some experience, and then go back for it. And sometimes your job will pay for some classes. And you know, I just went and kind of mellowed out at Giant for a while, and then finally got into teaching. But now I'm 4 years out. Then I get my next job where I was full time, but full time meant like I half taught art and half like did their bulletin boards and tutored math kids and went up and did reading things and then went over and did something else for second grade. And then I organized the papers at kindergarten. And then I'd run letters and numbers with it. Like I was an art teacher that did like 80 other like gopher things. Like that kept me full time. And now I'm 6 years out and I moved to Maryland. So now I'm nowhere near any schools I know. And all of my friends are either in or done their grad school. So it's not like I get to go with your friends.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. And it took me a while to get here. But once I found the Academy of Arts, I was like, it just impressed me so much. And it kind of made me want something for the first time in a really long time. Because like I said, I was scared or like just complacent. And sometimes, you know, that can be the death of creativity, to be too complacent.
Yeah.
So just like I've been kind of demanding more from myself with all of the patterns and the sweaters and everything, now I'm kind of demanding more of myself mentally, which is also terrifying.
Which is funny because I imagine it's terrifying and it also makes so much sense. Like hearing about the rest of your journey, I'm like, there are some people that I could see that are like, oh yeah, the world's really crazy. Things feel like out of control. So I need to stay on the track and like do what I'm doing. And I want to stay comfortable because that feels safe. But like, it sounds like those are opportunities you've used before to be like, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna do like take a big leap because like whatever, if not now, then when. And I mean, it's worked for you so far.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the world starts going a little bit chaotic, it's like, well, what's one more thing? Absolutely. Like, let's move and do all this at the same time. Well, what's one more thing? Why not? So yeah, that's kind of like where it was like pandemic started. I was like, well, what's one more thing? Might as well apply to grad school. I sometimes look at me, I'm like, you handle things weird, Meg. Weird. The like and then direct correlation, like move, start business, like leave job, start designing, like get diagnosed, get dog. Like everything is just like matched. Like start pandemic, start grad school. Why not?
Exactly. What do you think it is that keeps that? I mean, I hear part of you saying like Pat is a driving force there and like kind of helps give you that kick in the butt. But it sounds like, I don't know, that's been a part of you for longer, even maybe, I don't know, hearing, losing your grandpa, I want to learn how to knit and like start that process. And what do you think it is that keeps you, I guess, trying new things and taking new chances and finding new ways to take care of yourself? Because I imagine it could be easier to like not do that and just be like, nah, it's fine. Things are crazy right now. I'm going to give myself a break and be complacent. But you don't do that. And so I'm kind of curious what keeps you going forward.
I think it's a little bit of the inability to just sit.
Mm.
I like with knitting, especially. I remember you were saying you forget your knitting and you're just sitting there like, what am I supposed to do with myself? This is the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's very true. And like Pat like jokes a little bit that he's like, you're a little addicted, but you could be addicted to worse things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I am a little addicted. I'm addicted to the calm
Mm-hmm.
that knowing that's in my purse gives me. I don't care if I don't touch it, it's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll throw projects in the trunk, like a sock. I'll throw it in the trunk just to know that it's there if we get stuck or I go somewhere and I really wish I had it. Um I sometimes I'm like, I don't worry. Oh, it's better. I wonder at myself not being able to sit still. Like, is that okay? But it's just I've always been an active child. We always had Girl Scouts and dancing and we didn't sit still as a family. Like my mom always kept me busy. I had a lot of energy, and so she just kind of helped me direct it into like multiple classes, multiple dancing, and then art classes, and everything just kind of built on that. So I think I've been perhaps conditioned as a child to like when you feel like uncontainable, just put it into something else. So, on like projects that just don't bring you joy anymore, I just feel like, okay, I'm just going to design something brand new. Like I'm just going to make a new picture or start something else or make something for my niece or something else that's just going to, kind of bring me that joy
Mm-hmm.
back. But I absolutely I rely on the entire crafting world. I dropped a stitch. I rely on the entire crafting world to kind of funnel this like buzzing into.
Yeah.
I don't do well with silence either. I always have music or audiobooks on. And my hubs like he actually plays quite a bit of music now. But he said like, like he was always so busy as a kid. They were out sports, like music in the house wasn't like a necessity because no one was home to
Mm.
hear it. But thank you. Thank you. I have a glove now. Gypsy, place. Good girl. We always had musicals, we always had music in the house.
Mm.
So like not having it going is also weird to me. It's been a very conditioned thing that like there is music in the house and there should be. Thank you,
Yeah.
Gyps. Thank you for the loving. Thank you.
It
Hi.
sounds
Say
like
hi to all
that.
those people.
Oh, Gypsy. I imagine that's also part of your self-care, Megan. Getting
It's
kisses, puppy kisses.
yes. Oh my goodness. So like honestly, I was still in the hospital and I went, is this enough? Like is this enough that I can finally get a dog? And Pat's like, yeah. Because I was just like, I'm just so done. I'm so done. We were so devastated at the moment with the diagnosis. It was something that came out of the blue. And luckily, like I got the right medication. I got it fast, and I've been in remission for 2 years. But it could have like we could have missed this, and it could have
Mhm.
kept getting worse.
Yeah.
And we feel really lucky that we found it so fast. But like it was just a kick in the gut for both of us. And it was just like, I was like, is this it? Like, can we just get the dog now? Because I was going to leave my job. I was no longer going to teach, which was a huge heartbreak for me. Again, missing people, missing community, missing the kids, which were a big joy, of course. Like, they're goofy and funny. And I had grade school, so you get the, sass from the 7th graders. But then, like, you have like a 4-year-old that tells you you're the best person in the world, and you're like, I'm good. like they have such a pure way of loving, which is just so fun. So I was losing something, so we added something. So Gypsy has been my companion since 2018 with that, and she's just I mean, like, she can also be a huge pain in the butt, and she also has a lot of sass. But like the pure joy of, like, anytime I can be gone for 30 seconds, I come back in the room and the tush just starts going, like to be greeted that way all the time does something for your soul, that someone is so happy to see you. Not that, like, your husband or your wife or your partner isn't, but they don't quite get on that level.
Different, totally different.
Like, when you come out of the bathroom, they're not like, oh my God, you're back. But that is what she does every time. Like, I've been gone for a minute and she's like, oh, and you're back again. Like, it's just the best thing ever. So yeah. Gypsy, come.
Like, that fits into that equation or experience you've had, that like something hard happens, I need to do something to like fill in the gap or do something to take care of myself. Sounds like that's your experience. Like, growing up, it sounds like you had that experience of just like always doing, being on the go. And
yeah,
I'm a Gilmore Girls fan, and I always like joke that having knitting in a bag feels like Rory having a book in her bag. Like, even if I'm not gonna eat it, or I don't, it's like a adults appropriate security blanket. Like, I can
absolutely
just there in case.
Absolutely. Like, for example, like, security blanket, like, that was this guy, the Northeasterly, which I fought for so long. I laugh now, but I fought for so long. And like, now it's just something that I know I can grab, and I've memorized the pattern, and I can just add on a little bit more, but it feeds my need to change every like 5 seconds, because sometimes you can't focus on one color that long. And so, like, it just, oh, there's big cardinals in our yard. It's just like lets you security blanket, like, literally carry around a blanket and just cover yourself with something that makes you happy, and bright colors and nice things. But when you don't have room for those giant projects, I've been like obsessively changing color with these guys, because they just knit up so quickly. So, like, the no sew hearts, or the palpitation pattern, or there's several on Ravelry and on the internet, and I've just been like they're texturally satisfying to hold in your hand. And the Birds of Happiness have definitely done that for me as well. Just they're a satisfying knit because they're quick. I don't have a very long attention span on all things. In cases I can focus for a while, but generically I have a quick attention span. So, like, short things added into long projects help a lot for me. Because it just, like, it gives me something, I don't know, it gives my soul something that I've completed that I can feel proud of. And being without a outside job and getting feedback like that, or like, working a day and feeling like I've completed things. When you work from home, which everyone is almost at the moment, you don't get to come home. You can't make that break. So you have to create it by, like, staying in your office and then leaving it and shutting the door and leaving work at home. But I've worked from home for several years now and work is everywhere. So, I'm sitting and I'm knitting, but I'm looking at the dishes or the laundry and I'm like, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like I need to do that as well. But your heart wants something else, of course. So small things that I can work a little bit on, fold a few things, work a little bit more on, and then I have a finished project I can feel completed for the day. I feel like I did something. Like when I get everything packed that I meant to, feels really good. But then of course I got all these packages staring at me. So now I got to figure out what to do with them and get them out. So it's the work is never done, it's just very hard to leave work at work when you work from home.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that now.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I know, at least for me, like, I know we talked about this a little bit, but that like is hitting me so hard right now. I know when we first went remote, it was like, okay, I can do this, I can adjust, and it's only for so long, right? So there's an end date and I can just power through until that date. And now we're at the point where it's like, we don't have an end date anymore. It's been almost a year. Like it's, we've been sprinting for a long time and like we haven't got a chance to get a break. And especially like I like garments and things that are not very quick knits. And I'm okay with that because I think I'm more of like a process knitter. I mean, I enjoy my products, but I just enjoy doing it. But this year, December even and January, I'm like, I just feel like something's getting done. Like my work, I love my work, but being a therapist, you don't have like tangible results. Like my sister who's designing, and when she finishes a design, she has an image that's done. And then she puts it onto her cardboard and makes like the whole cutout and it's like done and she has a product that she can see. And I'm like, I don't have that. And so I've been gravitating so hard to like hats, socks, I copied you after I saw your podcast, little hearts that I'm going to make. And it feels so nice just to be like, I accomplished something today.
And it's cute and it's pretty and it feels nice and it's like a stress ball. Like it's just yeah. She's just crying and crying and crying. I'll let her out after we're done.
And so Megan, you had told me a little bit about your thoughts on what you wanted to assign to folks or challenge folks to do this week, and it feels a little bit tough. I'm wondering if that's something you're wanting to share. I don't know if it's changed at all or adapted since we spoke.
No, I am sticking with something small. So my challenge is to look through either your yarn or your projects and find something small to get on and off or off your needles. So if you are knitting socks and you have like the entire heel done and you just need to kitchen it closed and it just sat there, finish it. Get it off your needle. Breathe. Like try one of the little hearts. Maybe you got a 20-gram mini that just feels so special and you don't know what to do with it. Make a little heart with it. And then you'll have it and maybe someday you'll gift it and it'll be special because you had it. After we spoke, I got super wrapped up in cabled hats. So you speak of little knits, I mean. It's I just finished the podcast. They're so cute. I have one very, very small niece and one niece that's like gonna be 2. So like they're both young, but like obviously one's much bigger than the other. And so I am just like, since I don't have them physically in front of me, it's very hard for me to find what fits them. So I'm constantly like bugging their moms, like, how does it fit? How much can you, do you need to flip it? Did it, like, I am the biggest pain in the butt. But like, it's been, oh my God, like, so this is going to be a free pattern that I'm coming out with. It's going to have 3 different versions. So you can do just a simple rib, a little hipster cable, or a cozy cable where you cross both of them. And I might have one more if I get my ducks in a row, but I just, have I been stressed? Maybe a little bit.
Not like you're starting grad school or anything.
Like, I'm like, oh my God, I need to download all this software. This, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure these were all in one day. I think this was like Saturday. And on Sunday, my husband and I had another bit of a lazy day. And so I started his hat because now he wants one. So the sizes are going to go from like 0 to 24 inches, like 0 to 3 months to like 24 inches. So like super small to like normal adult to male size head. My hubs, who has like a noggin on him, I had him try on the last size and he was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, okay. So I'm just going to do these as like a free pattern of just something small to feed your soul, because these will be on and off your needles in a couple of hours. And it just feels good. It feels really good. Plus, like, now I'm like, cool, I think this one will fit my one knees and I think this one will fit my other knee. And like, I've got these little gifts now and it feels good. It feels good to get it on, off the needles. I got something that was like asked of me done, which was really nice. So my challenge is to knit something small for yourself or for somebody else that's going to bring you joy, or finish up. If you have like 6 more inches on this sleeve, finish it off. If you're just waiting on doing the last thing on that sweater, do it and get it off your needles, give it a big hug, and then like let it go. It's done. It's taking up brain space. I'm telling you, you've got more in there. Not until I was done with like the Star Wars that everything just came out. After that pattern was shipped off and out of my hands, my brain space was catastrophic, like it just opens up. It feels silly, but it's there, it's taking up rent. Get rid of it.
I love this. I feel I know every week. We're so close, Gypsy. We're so close. She's like, I want to do something small. I want to just go outside. But it feels like every week the challenge, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I need, but like, this is exactly what I need right now. And so I'm gonna say like thanks to the universe for like throwing me one bone, I guess, this year, because it's about time. And this is exactly what I need this week. And I know I'm super excited. I know other folks I've been talking to have been feeling really similarly. So I think this is going to be perfect for folks. Maybe when those hats come out, depending on when they come out, that's something folks can kind of jump on and enter. So I'll go ahead and post. I'll make a post of your challenge. I'll put it on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram already, I'm at the Little Wolf Knits. You'll see the post that'll have the picture of Megan, that are videos up on YouTube, and her challenge. And feel free to comment there and let us know like what you're thinking of doing on. And it doesn't have to be like the whole project. Like I imagine even something like the Northeasterly, that's like you're just doing a small section, like just do a small bit, break up whatever you're doing into chunks and like get those chunks done. So let us know what you're thinking about. And then when you post about whatever it is that you're finishing or doing, maybe it's even frogging something that you're like, I'm not going to get around to it. Frog it, get it done. And tag me, tag Meghan, because I know I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I'm sure Meghan is too. Any other Megan last words before we wrap up and get back to the snowy day we're having and Gypsy can go outside? Any final words of wisdom?
I mean, it is snowing significantly and she's still begging to go out. I think she's crazy, but okay. Like, it is really picking up over here. But yeah, no, just giving yourself the grace to take it easy when you need to, and finding the small ways to check things off, even if it's writing down something you've already done on a list.
Mhm. Shower goes on my list. Eat lunch goes on my list. Check it off.
Yep. And like definitely making a list just to get it out of your brain. A lot of people say that with like bullet journals and such. Just the act of writing it down helps you sleep better, knowing that you've got a space for everything. And like with school, I wrote down an entire list of all of the different softwares and like supplies I was going to need because I could not hold it in my brain. 3 classes, and like all of them had different book lists and they all had different supply lists and they all had different software. And I was like, oh my word. And so I just made it was like 27 things. And I was like, okay, hold on. Like, and I just made a list and I've been going through and just as I downloaded, check it off. And that feels good. I got like my last bits of software off my list today. And I'm like, yes, like this is good.
Just frees up brain space to do other things that hopefully bring more joy and
Yes.
care, nourishment to yourself.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, everyone. It's been so great chatting with you, Megan. Like, thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I think it's funny. Like I said, it feels like you know someone, and then you get to chat with them, and you like know all the stuff about them, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're like friends, but like we never talked before. So it's great that we're getting to have an actual conversation outside of Instagram messaging and
Yes.
so thank you so much. I know this will be appreciated by so many people.
So she's a bird just landed in our yard and she just smacks the glass like you get out of there.
She is ready to go outside. We will sign off. Everybody take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Until next time. Bye.